At the glittering height of her company's annual gala, Elena Hayes locks eyes with the man she once loved and lost, only for him to look right through her like a stranger. Moments later, she finds a chilling note in his handwriting. "Don't acknowledge me if you want the truth." What follows is a night of whispered warnings, shadowy figures, and a scandalous photo that could ruin her forever. As the crowd watches her every move, Elena is pulled into a dangerous game where every smile hides a threat and every truth comes at a cost. The man she thought had abandoned her is back, not for romance, but for revenge, or maybe to save her life. And before the night is over, they'll have to decide whether to keep pretending or finally stand together against the enemy who's been playing them both. This is a slow-burn romantic suspense full of betrayal, hidden motives, and second chance. Heat perfect for viewers who love stories with a dangerous twist. This is a story you will want to sit back and enjoy. Before we start, I would like you to subscribe, like and comment on this video from where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. Let us begin. The clinking of champagne glasses and the hum of expensive laughter filled the ballroom of the St. Clair Hotel. Gilded chandeliers cast a golden glow on the glittering crowd, while the polished marble floor reflected the elegance of the evening. Elena Hayes tightened her grip on the stem of her glass, forcing herself to smile at the cluster of executives standing beside her. On the surface, she was the perfect picture of poise, dark green evening gown flowing effortlessly, hair swept into a soft chignon, a diamond necklace resting just above her collarbone. Inside, however, her pulse was hammering against her ribs. Across the room, she saw him, Daniel Wright. 6 months ago, he had been her everything, her confidant, her partner in late-night coffees and stolen Sunday mornings. The man who had made her believe in forever. And then, almost overnight, it had all crumbled, leaving behind unanswered questions and the kind of silence that hurt more than words. She hadn't seen him since, and yet, here he was, in the middle of her company's annual gala, dressed in a sleek black suit that fit him. It had been sewn with him in mind. He looked exactly the same, but there was a sharpness in his eyes now, as if he had come here with purpose. Her breath caught when his gaze met hers, stay unflinching. For a moment, the crowd disappeared. Then he did something she didn't expect. He looked right past her, and oh nod. No smile. No sign that they had ever shared a single memory. It was deliberate. She could see it in the way his jaw tensed before he turned to greet someone else. "Elena?" Her assistant's voice snapped her back. "The investors are ready for you." She smoothed the fabric of her gown, masking her confusion with a practiced smile. Of course. But as she stepped toward the stage, her mind spun. Why was Daniel here? And why was he pretending she was a stranger? The answer came minutes later, when she caught sight of a small black envelope tucked under her dinner plate. Her name was written on it in Daniel's handwriting. She slid it open under the table, her pulse quickening. In neat, bold letters, the note read, "Don't speak to me. Don't acknowledge me. If you want the truth about what happened 6 months ago, follow my lead tonight." She froze, the hum of the gala fading to silence in her ears. What game was he playing, and was she willing to step into it? Elena's fingers tightened around the black envelope, the edges bending under the pressure. The soft laughter and polite conversation of the gala blurred into background noise as she tried to steady her breathing. She didn't notice him until the scent of his cologne, familiar, maddening, wrapped around her. A low voice brushed her ear. "Smile, Elena. Everyone's watching." Her stomach clenched. She turned her head slightly, enough to see Daniel standing just behind her shoulder, his face carved into an easy grin for the benefit of the surrounding guests. To anyone else, he looked like a charming acquaintance making small talk. But she knew better. "What are you doing here?" she murmured without moving her lips. He didn't look at her, eyes fixed on someone across the room. "Keeping you safe." The words hit her like a jolt. "Safe from what?" "You'll find out soon enough," he replied, then offered his hand as though asking her to dance. "For now, follow my lead. And whatever you do, don't let them know we've spoken before tonight." The sharpness in his tone left no room for argument, yet her instincts screamed to demand answers. Still, The heat of curious eyes from nearby tables reminded her this was not the place to start a scene. Reluctantly, she let him guide her onto the dance floor. It was infuriating how easily her body remembered his touch, the subtle pressure of his palm against her back, the way his fingers fit against hers. She kept her expression neutral, but her mind was a storm. "Why can't you just tell me what's going on?" she asked under the swell of the music. He leaned in, voice low. "Because the person who destroyed us is in this room right now, and they're watching both of us." Her breath caught. "Destroyed us?" she echoed, her pulse racing. Daniel's eyes flicked over her shoulder. His smile tightened. "Don't turn around. They're behind you." A shiver raced down her spine. "Who?" Instead of answering, he twirled her slowly, bringing her face dangerously close to his. For a split second, the past crashed between them. Late nights, whispered promises, the way he used to look at her as if she was the only person in the world. But then his voice dropped, sharp and urgent. "Do exactly as I say tonight, Elena, or we both end up in the papers by morning, and not in the way you think." Elena's heels clicked against the polished floor as she stepped off the dance floor, heart still pounding from Daniel's cryptic warning. She scanned the glittering crowd, determined to catch another glimpse of him, only to find he'd already disappeared into the mingling sea of tuxedos and gowns. Her fingers itched to crumple the black envelope still hidden in her clutch, but movement in the corner of the room froze her in place. No, it couldn't be, but it was. Samantha Clark, her former business partner, and the woman who had publicly accused Elena of corporate theft just weeks before she'd lost Daniel. A scandal that had stripped her of investors, dragged her name through the press, and left her teetering on the edge of ruin. Samantha stood by the champagne bar, flawless in a crimson dress, speaking with a pair of board members as if she owned the place. And then, as though sensing Elena's gaze, she turned. Their eyes locked across the room. A slow, deliberate smile curved Samantha's lips, one that didn't reach her eyes. She lifted her glass in a silent toast, and for a moment, Elena could swear she saw amusement dancing there. "Elena?" The voice came from her right. She turned sharply, only to find Peter Lang, one of the company's most influential investors. His polite expression didn't hide the thin thread of suspicion in his eyes. "I'd like a word, in private." Something about the way he said it tightened a knot in her stomach. But before she could respond, Daniel appeared again, this time at her other side. His arm brushed hers, his presence commanding without being obvious. "Sorry, Peter," Daniel said smoothly. "Elena's needed elsewhere." Peter's brow furrowed. "And you are?" Daniel's lips curved in a polite, harmless smile. "Nobody important." The word stung, but the warning glint in his eyes told her he meant something else entirely. Without waiting for her consent, he guided her toward a side hallway away from the crowd. As soon as they were out of earshot, she jerked her arm back. "You can't just drag me away like, do you trust me?" He interrupted, her throat tightened. "Not anymore." His jaw clenched, but he stepped closer, voice low. "Then trust this, Samantha isn't here by accident. And neither am I." Before she could demand more, shadow moved at the end of the hallway. A man in a black suit, face half hidden, watching them with unnerving stillness. Daniel's body stiffened, his hand instinctively finding hers. The man took a step forward. "Miss Hayes, we need to talk." "Now." The man's hand emerged from his jacket, not with a weapon, but with a small black USB drive glinting under the hallway lights. "This," he said, his voice low and deliberate, "is everything you've been looking for." His gaze flicked between Daniel and Elena. "But it comes with a price." Daniel's stance didn't ease. "Who sent you?" The man smirked faintly. "Someone who wants you to stop digging before you get yourselves killed." Elena's pulse thudded in her ears. "What's on it?" "Proof," the man said simply, "of who destroyed your company, and why your golden boy here walked away from you without explanation." Her eyes darted to Daniel, but his expression was unreadable, his jaw locked tight. "I don't trust this," Daniel said, his voice cutting through the air. "You don't have to," the man replied, holding out the drive. "You just have to decide if you want the truth, or if you'd rather keep pretending nothing happened." A noise echoed down the hall, footsteps, fast and purposeful. The man's eyes sharpened. They're coming. Take it or leave it. Without thinking, Elena reached for the USB, but Daniel's hand closed over hers, stopping her. Elena, no, not like this. The man's voice dropped to a whisper. If you want answers, come alone to Pier 17. Midnight. And then, just as two security guards rounded the corner, the man slipped the drive into Elena's clutch and vanished. Through a side door like smoke, the guard stopped in front of them, scanning the hallway. Everything all right here? Yes, Daniel said tightly, but his grip on Elena's arm was firm as he steered her back toward the ballroom. She yanked free the moment they were out of sight. You're going to tell me what's going on right now, Daniel? His eyes burned into hers. Not here, not with everyone watching. And if you value your life, you'll stay away from Pier 17 tonight. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. You think I'm going to just promise me, Elena? His voice was low, almost desperate, but before she could answer, the ballroom's microphone crackled to life, and Samantha's voice rang out, cool and confident. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue the evening, I have an announcement that will change everything you think you know about our dear Elena Hayes. Gasps rippled through the ballroom as the massive screen flickered to life. The photograph showed Elena standing on a dimly lit street at night, passing what appeared to be a thick envelope to a man whose face was blurred. Samantha's voice sliced through the murmurs. This, ladies and gentlemen, the woman you've been trusting with your investments, meeting in secret with someone connected to last year's embezzlement scandal. Elena's heart thundered. She had never seen this image before yet. The angle, the shadows, they made it look damning. That's a lie, she snapped, stepping forward. This is a fabricated photo. Then you won't mind if I release the rest, Samantha said smoothly, pulling out a sleek tablet. The room's attention shifted entirely to the two women, but Elena's gaze flicked to the edge of the crowd. Daniel was watching her intently, a subtle shake of his head telling her to stay calm. Samantha smiled sweetly at the audience. We all deserve the truth, don't we? Before she could tap the screen, the lights in the ballroom flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Shouts and murmurs erupted. A hand caught Elena's wrist. Daniel's. Come with me now, he whispered urgently. She barely had time to think before he was pulling her through the shadows, weaving between startled guests and out a side exit into the cool night air. They didn't stop until they reached the alley behind the hotel. What was that? She demanded, breathless. That photo? It's staged. And I think I know who staged it, he said. But to prove it, we need that USB drive. Her stomach clenched. Pier 17, he nodded grimly. Midnight. But you don't go in until I give the signal. The night wind carried the scent of the river as Samantha's heels clicked toward them. Well, she said with mock surprise. Isn't this cozy? Elena stepped forward. You've been setting me up since the beginning. Why? Samantha's smile didn't falter. Because you took everything from me, my position, my reputation. I'm simply returning the favor. Her gaze shifted to Daniel. And you, still playing the knight in shining armor? How quaint. Daniel's voice was cold. You're making a mistake, Samantha. You always underestimate the people you burn. Oh, I'm not underestimating you, she purred. In fact, I'm counting on you showing up at Pier 17 tonight. I want an audience when she falls apart. With that, she slid into the car and was gone, taillights vanishing into the night. Elena turned to Daniel, anger and fear twisting inside her. We have to end this tonight. Pier 17 was silent when they arrived just before midnight, the wooden boards creaking under their steps. Shadows stretched long under the dim lamps. The man from the gala was waiting. Without a word, he handed Elena the USB drive. Everything you need is on here. Bank transfers, fake invoices, all tied to Samantha. Why help us? Elena asked. He shrugged. Let's just say she burned me too. Then he melted back into the shadows. Daniel pulled a small laptop from his coat. Within minutes, the files came up on the screen clear, irrefutable proof of Samantha's guilt. You'll be cleared, Daniel said. Her throat tightened. And what about us? He hesitated, eyes meeting hers. I walked away to protect you. There were threats against your life if I didn't disappear. I thought it was the only way. Emotion welled in her chest, a bittersweet ache. "You could have told me, I know," he said softly, "but I'm here now." For a long moment, the only sound was the lapping water against the pier. Then, she stepped closer. "Then let's not pretend anymore." His hand found hers, warm and steady. No more pretending. By morning, Samantha's arrest would be headline news. But for Elena, the real victory was standing beside Daniel. Again, no masks, no lies, no games. The day they had pretended not to know each other was over.